You can send in your questions to askpvquestions@gmail.com. I do have an interesting one to be looking at here. It says, what are your thoughts on Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, and the New Atheist? So my thoughts on this are sort of nuanced. Christopher Hitchens, I'm a big fan of his religious stuff, but something else that a lot of things were actually good about Hitch. He was actually pretty left-wing, whether you're talking about healthcare or climate change or different things like that. And I agree with his religious stuff, of course. Of course. I thought that was great. But my main problem, and obviously you guys are going to know this, is his foreign policy. So he was fervently for the Iraq War, and he was really, really outgoing, like a really, really outspoken supporter of the Iraq War. And it seemed like a lot of what he thought depended upon foreign policy, and I disagree with them on that heavily. And I think he and Noam Chomsky had a disagreement. I don't know if they had a formal disagreement or, maybe they just had differing opinions. Well, obviously they did. I don't know if they had a formal disagreement or not. But I honestly think that almost everything, and also I want to add that he was also pro-Palestine, which is a very good position, of course, and it's surprising coming from someone like him. But I pretty much, for everything that I can think of, I pretty much agree with him outside of his foreign policy. Well, I agree with him on foreign policy when it comes to Israel. However, all the other foreign policy positions I don't agree with personally. Now, Richard Dawkins, I'm a fan of Richard Dawkins because it seems like Richard Dawkins is a liberal, or a lefty at least of some sort. He's not a Trump supporter by any means. He doesn't like Trump. He's also for remaining for Britain remaining in the EU. And I know that a bunch of the, I don't know what you call them. Well, people, UKIP guys, they were calling him out for that. They were really angry at that. So I like Richard Dawkins. I feel like he is someone who stated probably as principled as he can. I don't like the fact that he was deplatformed while criticizing Islam. Islam deserves to be criticized. It's a horrendous religion, and liberals shouldn't be soft on Islam because Islam is bad. Okay, so it's terrible. So I don't like that either, and that's something I agree with. And the New Atheist as a whole. So I've already made a segment talking about Sam Harris and my disagreements with Sam Harris. Just to quickly go over it, I'm not in agreement with his views on race science. I'm also not in agreement with a lot of his foreign policy. Definitely not Israel-Palestine, which is somewhere where he and Christopher Hitchens are, essentially in complete opposition. But he is a liberal, but I also disagree with him because he's somebody who literally advocated for Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, which, that is a fucking terrible take. That's a horrendous take. A really bad take. But overall, the New Atheist, I think that they've been smeared a lot by some progressives, which is sad to see because, you sort of lose respect for people when they do that kind of thing. So I think they have been smeared, but I do think that they're legitimate criticisms, and I think that I've done my best to not smear or strawman, but instead just voice my disagreements with them. But, overall, I guess I think that they're good. Some are better than others, but, you have to be nuanced on these types of things.